anyways, a lot more to get into. I want to kind of focus a little bit on Caleb Williams here. Obviously, had a very, very rough start to the game. I'm not sure what did he finish with. Anybody want to pull the stats? Because I have 148, one touchdown.
Yeah, 148. Mm-hmm.
But this is his rookie season. So first of all, if I'm just going to read them out loud, and then I'll go ahead and kind of have a discussion regarding it. But his rookie season, he finished with 3,542 passing yards. That is fifth most in franchise history. 20 passing touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 62.5 completion percentage, 87.8 passer rating, almost 500 rushing yards. He had 489 on the year. So again, if I would have told you those numbers before the season, I think all three of us would have been like, I'll take it. That's a really good rookie season.
The big one that I think they're great. I think the biggest one that I'm shocked by, just because the NFL is a different game than college football. The defenses are way more complex. It takes time to learn what the defense is showing you, right? I was expecting to see a little bit more turnovers, to be honest, right? And that's not like a dig on him. I'm thinking, look, you're getting at least 11 to 12. Like, I think I projected like 28 touchdowns, something like high 20s, and then like 10 to 15 interceptions, okay? I still would have said that's a great season. But to see how he did not turn the ball over, and he didn't fumble that much either for how many times he got sacked, which I think is now 69. He did not break Derek Carr's rookie record, so thank you for that. But for how many times he got sacked, right, playing all 17 games and being able to get 3,500 passing yards, 20 touchdowns, and only throwing an interception 6 times, very, very impressive. Jack, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, the biggest one was interceptions for sure. Obviously, some of the plays that we talked about a lot throughout this season was the deep ball, and that like you can intercept it because it's launched 15 yards over. That's something that you work on in the offseason. Yeah, I mean, like Dave just said, if we looked back right now, if we take a screenshot of his total stats on the year, we would all be very content with that as the first overall picks rookie season. So, and that's given that we have the worst offensive line in the entire NFL. So with all that being said, I'm really excited for next year. I'm hoping that we build the trenches, as you said, Ficky, 70,000 times on the pod. But yeah, let's build the trenches. Let's get him some help. I'm really excited to see where he goes from here.
Question for you, Dave.
Well, real quick.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Real quick, because the rookie season that Caleb had, like, obviously there's a lot to work in the offseason, a lot to do. And what I love about that is he said, first of all, he's going to lock himself away. He knows he has to get better in a lot of different areas, and he's going to lock himself away and put in the work. So you love hearing that. We probably hear that from a lot of players, but you'd like to hear from your quarterback. But also, he brought the Bears back and put them in position to win today. But he did it twice against the Packers. He did it against the Commanders. He did it against the Vikings, and he did it against the Lions. Like, it's not just been one. It's not like this is the one-off. It's just this is the one time it actually was successful, right? Because there wasn't clock management issues. There wasn't, a Hail Mary that was successful for, the Commanders game. It's just, if you flipped a couple scenarios, I mean, this season would have been so different. They would have potentially been fighting for a playoff spot, wild card. They would have been in a position here at the end of the year to maybe go on a run. It's just that there was such chaos surrounding him that it did really, dilute his rookie year, because obviously the numbers are pretty damn good, but like the wins didn't stack up. But that's also not all his fault, because he may have had slow starts to games, but at the end of the year, there was multiple times where he put this team on his back, got them in a chance to win the game, and they just somehow failed, whether it be clock, timeouts, Hail Mary, defense, whatever it was. So still a lot to work on, but there's just so much exciting stuff to be looking forward to, especially in year 2, depending on where they go with the head coach. Obviously, the offensive line, that stat at the end of the game where it was like the only starter from training camp was Darnell Wright, and they've also had 34 different offensive line combinations, which led the NFL by like 5, I think it was. It's incredible. So I didn't mean to cut you off there. I just feel like it's actually a lot that went wrong for Caleb that just wasn't necessarily his fault, and it was kind of hard to evaluate.
That's a perfect transition, because my question was going to be, if you were to look at these stats, right, and you're like, oh, this is how the season ended, you kind of answered the question, but you would have not thought this team only won 4 games, right? You look at that stat sheet and you're like, oh, they at least got 7, right? 8 maybe? You know what I mean? Well, I mean, we won 5 because today, but you wouldn't have gone into this game and been like, that stat line, they only have 4 wins. And that goes to your point of just like how the close game management was so bad and things just not going in our way. Even if you don't flip all of them out of those 6 games, right? You're not winning all of them, right? Even great teams typically don't win all of them. There's probably one they'd lose on something dumb, right? Let's say you just do 4 or even go 3-3. You're looking at a team, like you said, is 8 wins, 9 wins. Okay. 9-win team. You feel much better about like the trajectory of the offense, particularly the offense, than what we do right now. So, it's great for Caleb. We obviously know, I've been the king of the trenches for this pod. I didn't think it was going to be as bad as what I felt week 1, but this team only goes as far as how well they improve both offensive line and defensive line. I feel better about the quarterback.
And that's the best part about this is they have all of the resources, thankfully, to Poles and his resource management, which I believe is very, very good. Obviously outside a couple of trades. But number 1 overall rookie ranks. This is a graphic from Fox that kind of compared out of 28 QBs drafted number 1 overall since 1967. Caleb Williams' record was 15th. So he had the 15th best record, which isn't great. But his completion percentage was 4th. Touchdown interception ratio was 1st. Rushing yards per game was 4th. So I thought that was, a very interesting graphic because I know we said that he was coming into perhaps one of the best situations a rookie's ever had, but obviously that wasn't the case coaching wise. And even some of the players that we thought would be better or at least be good for this team, like Mercedes Lewis, no offense. Why the hell was he here? Like you're telling me we couldn't get a better player. Mercedes Lewis, every time I heard his name, it was a penalty.
Well, same with Everett all year. He hasn't had many plays. Today. He's had more penalties than he has catches.
Yeah, so I mean, some of those moves were just not as good. Swift, I thought it was actually a good move, and we can get into the year in review, here in a couple weeks or maybe next week or so. But overall, Caleb Williams, you hear a lot of like bus talk, I think a lot of just chatter on Twitter and X, a lot of trolling, but like seriously. Oh yeah, team's ass. Team's very.
Yeah, that's why. That's why it's like they look. I mean, I get it. You don't have to follow the team, and I'm not expecting. Also, I would recommend people who are just NFL fans or have a different team. You shouldn't follow this team because there's nothing good you get from it. But you see how bad and chaotic has been of a season from a high level, and so you're like, oh, a lot of it falls on the quarterback's shoulders. But obviously, we cover the team. Fans know the kid is the best prospect that we've had come in, and he's had. It's not only, it's not just, us preseason being like, speculation. No, the data and the numbers now show this is the best rookie quarterback that the Bears have ever had, right? So you can't argue the numbers there. I'm very hopeful, hopefully he works on his footwork, which we talked about. He knows that. I think that'll help with a lot of the accuracy issues he had, but we've seen enough of the flashes that you can be hopeful for next season. We saw some again today, some of the throws he made, the darts. You're like, geez, Caleb. And one stat I think we kind of brushed over here, 500 rushing yards is kind of crazy because he's not designated rushing. This isn't, we had no QB powers or anything like that, right? This is him evading because he was evading a lot, right? Because obviously this offensive line is like Green Bay, Swiss cheese, right? So he was running for his life a lot. To have 500 yards rushing is, I did not expect it to be that high, to be honest. I did not. Even after watching all these games, 500, I was like, oh, wow, that's quite impressive.
He's sneaky. He's definitely not Justin Fields when it comes to running, but he's a little bit more athletic than I even gave him credit for. However, he can't turn the corner sometimes. That's where I'm like, you kind of miss some of that electric running, I guess, from Fields, but you'll take everything else. I mean, that throw, that final drive where it was, I think it was the first throw to Rome Odunze, the sideline, where, I mean, first of all, Rome made an insane catch. And I'm going to give him props because early on I was on his ass because he could not block